Hey guys, Stephen here from Double Tap on YouTube. Just me with you today on this episode as I got the chance to speak to Mira Showers UK to talk about their new Mira Select Flex shower. Now this has been designed with accessibility in mind. Yes, a shower I'm talking about here. And also in partnership with the UK's leading blindness charity, RNIB, the Royal National Institute of Blind People. Coming up, we'll hear from Robin Spinks, who's the head of inclusive design at RNIB, to tell us their part in this. But first up, I caught up with Suzannah Adey. She's the marketing manager for Mira Showers UK to find out about this new product. Good to have you here on Double Tap.
Thank you for inviting me.
So you're sitting in front of the shower itself, the Mira shower that we're going to talk about today. Tell us about the shower first off.
Yep, so this is our brand new Mira Select Flex shower. So it is a new mixer shower. We launched it last month, so really kind of hot off the press. And this is our new shower with inclusively designed features. So really looking for this product is kind of targeted to the aids and adaptations market, and there's some really nice new attributes to the product that kind of build up to our RNIB accredited, tried and tested status that this product has.
Yeah, so let's dig into this a little bit because there's a lot to unpack here, right? I mean, first off, Mira is a name that has been known in the UK for many years and has attributed to, I can attest to this, brilliant showers that, once they're installed, they kind of last for a very long time, right? So, you know that you're buying quality. But, moving into this area where you're developing a product which is accessible to blind and low vision people, tell us about that relationship with RNIB, how all that got started, because ultimately that's what created this, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So kind of taking it right back to the start, we looked at the market and broadly there's two types of shower in the market. There's electric shower. That is sort of the white box on the wall. So that electric shower heats the water instantaneously. And they have some really nice, easy to use features. So a push button on off, a big temperature dial, kind of high contrast graphics. So it's really easy to kind of adjust the settings as you need them. And then the other type of shower, sort of the other half of the market, is a mixer shower. So they traditionally look a bit more like plumbing. So kind of the conventional products in the market have chrome plating. They look kind of like the fixtures in the bathroom. And when we looked at those, actually, for a partially sighted or blind user, a mixer shower can be really difficult to use. They don't have the features that electric showers do. There's no push button on off. It's quite hard to see the temperature graphics on the high shine chrome plated finishes. So it was kind of taking our learnings from a product that we have, the advanced electric shower that also has RNIB accreditation, and bringing those design principles into a mixer shower so we can offer that accessibility and ease of use to the customer who needs a mixer shower installed.
I mean, it's not the first time I imagine you as a company had heard about blind people wanting to have a shower, right? I mean, you knew blind people want to have a shower. That's part of the deal, right? We're all wanting to use them. But of course, it's the accessibility of such a device. And that's, I guess, the relationship with RNIB. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so the RNIB, I think our partnership with the RNIB, it really helped us learn the challenges that a blind or partially sighted user might have with a shower, and kind of putting the designers in the shoes of the user. So the RNIB kind of helped us coordinate market research, different focus groups, and kind of put us in touch with the customer who is going to be using this type of product. And I think it's the thoroughness through the research. We feel that we've really driven forward our partnership with the RNIB when we collaborated together to do that.
Yeah, and of course, feedback is the key with all of this, right? Getting user feedback. So tell me about that user research, because I guess you have to sit down and talk to a lot of different people to gauge the usefulness of this. Yeah,
so we had kind of lots of different market research and user research that we took into account with this project. So specifically with the RNIB, we ran a focus group. So that was sort of a little bit into the project. We had a prototype that we had designed, and then we supplied the display, the prototype model to the RNIB, who ran a focus group with 20 partially sighted and blind users. So that was a kind of hands-on interactive study, touch and feel the controls, and sort of going through the sequence of if you were having a shower, how would you change the temperature, how would you change the flow? And that was really helpful for our design team. So it wasn't an immediate pass. The RNIB came back with a list of 11 points that we sort of needed to modify and kind of refine the design just to make it that bit more intuitive and interactive for the user. So, but I think that is exactly the purpose of market research. You kind of you define and iterate and evaluate from that. So that feedback was so helpful to kind of getting to the design that you see today.
Now, explain this to me, because I hear electric shower, I hear mixer shower, and I often think they're the same thing, but there's a difference, right?
There is. So the difference is functional, but also that leads to the design. They kind of look very different because the function is very different. So electric showers, they look like we call them the white box on the wall. So it kind of looks like it's sort of sitting on the wall, and that is heating the water instantaneously. So it has a cold feed only. Right. There's a heating element inside, so it heats the water up to temperature and then kind of delivers it through the shower head. A mixer shower, as the name suggests, works quite differently in that it mixes hot and cold water together to create that blended temperature. Within mixers, the main sort of benefit with those is that you have thermostatic technology. So the temperature is going to maintain stability, and it's kind of because it's maintaining that blended temperature the whole time. There are thermostatic electric showers as well. So Mira Advance is our kind of key product that is the thermostatic electric, but pretty much in mixers, most of the market now is thermostatic as well. So that's a sort of key benefit of a mixer shower.
That's very interesting. I didn't realize there was so much complexity in it, but yeah, you're right. There's so many aspects to this. Now, you've got it behind you. Can you maybe talk us through the look, the style, and the design of this new shower?
Yeah, absolutely. So thinking about the current sort of marketplace with mixer showers, typically those products look like sort of extensions of plumbing. There's a lot of chrome plating, those mirror surfaces, that creates some real challenges if you've got a visual impairment or kind of creating that contrast. So firstly, the look of this product is really different. The actual valve, what we've gone for is different colour and finish options. So all of the touch points are a high contrast black, so you can kind of clearly see where you need to interact with the product. That's the temperature lever to indicate that you've adjusted the temperature. This product also has a push button start-stop, so that is kind of taking a direct benefit from an electric shower and putting it into a mixer shower. The alternative would be, you have to turn a dial. Sometimes that's quite difficult to turn. It can be problematic if you have kind of dexterity issues as well. But this is a really simple push button on-off. That means for the end user, they can select the temperature and then they don't need to touch it again. So it's always going to warm up to exactly the temperature that they've selected it. So there's no kind of fiddling around trying to reach the right temperature. The other kind of key sort of step forward with this product is through the fittings. So it's got the easy adjust fittings kit. So the slide bar has over 1 meter range of adjustment. So that's really useful for standing users, but also if you've got a seated user in a wheelchair as well. And in particular useful for if you have a carer, so assisted showering as well. The fittings can be really easily moved and kind of adjusted and kind of handheld or held in the fittings kit as well.
Wow, that's incredible. A lot of consideration there. Because, of course, like you say, I mean, I think I kind of had this in my head. This is something you've worked with RNIB on from a low vision perspective or a blindness perspective, but you're considering a lot of different disabilities here.
And I think that's the principle with this project. Yes, we absolutely have the RNIB accreditation, and that's the tried and tested accreditation that is kind of so difficult to achieve and something we're hugely proud of. But this shower is accessible for all, and I think there's other benefits as well. If you've got, for example, a young family, the product's thermostatic, the temperature is always going to be safe, so you can have peace of mind there as well. But if thinking about the benefits of the easy height adjustable shower head, that's a benefit for everyone. Not everyone's the same height, so you kind of need to adjust the shower head to suit different ranges. So yeah, it is kind of inclusive design, but we truly believe that means accessible for all.
How important is it for you, and how useful is it for you to engage with a charity like RNIB, like other companies around the world involve themselves with, for example, in Canada, the CNIB, or in America, it's the NFB or the ACB. There are different organizations around the world that can actually help and assist in a lot of different ways, but perhaps most importantly, by getting you in touch with other blind and low vision people, in the case of RNIB, for example. How useful is that to you?
Yeah, well, I think as this project has proved, hugely useful. I think the insights brought back from the RNIB, that really helped us inform the design of this product. And, for us, for me personally, it's made me realise there's a much greater purpose to this product as well. This isn't just about a beautiful object. It's something that is really usable, fit for purpose, high quality, and kind of totally delivers on the needs for those blind and partially sighted users as well.
It's very interesting because I think there's often a lot of style over substance when it comes to showers and a lot of bathroom accessories and all of that. You mentioned chrome, for example, which is a great example of, it's something that is beautiful to look at, but it's not ideal when it comes to someone with low vision. How do you design a product that is inclusive, that designs for everyone, but is still pretty, right? Because as disabled people, we don't want that white clinical equipment in our homes. We don't want it to look like a hospital in our bathroom. We want it to look like everyone else's bathroom, but we want it to be functional.
Yeah, exactly. And I think we've hopefully taken that sort of design direction with our new Select Flex product, in that this is a product that goes into people's homes. It's not for hospitals, and we need to make sure it is something that people are happy to put in their homes. But I think in particular, around sort of moving away from chrome plating, we've had to be quite bold with this, in that the market norm is for mixer showers that they are chrome plated, and that's because chrome is durable, it's hard wearing, and it's robust. So this product has what we're calling satin chrome, so that is a lower sort of contrast chrome, so you don't get that mirror finish on it, but
it's more like a matte finish, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's kind of an anti-glare finish on it, so it still gives the the look and feel of a premium bathroom product that you're going to have in your kind of high-end bathroom, but as well, kind of bringing the benefits of the challenges that chrome plating creates for partially sighted users.
Tell me about availability of this. So it's available in the UK. Is it only in the UK at the moment?
Yeah, so it's available in the UK and Ireland. So that is Mira Showers, where our current routes to market. But I think the premise is that this technology is something we're looking to apply into other showers as well. And again, thinking about the principle of inclusive design is for everyone. This is quite a big step change for this product, but I think it's just a start, and we intend to take this forward into many other products in the future as well.
Amazing. Suzannah, thank you so much for coming on to Double Tap and telling us about this incredible new shower. Tell us at the website as well where we can read more about this. Yep,
so Select Flex is on the Mira Showers website, so that's www.mirashowers.co.uk.
Now, I also got the chance to speak to Robin Spinks. He is from RNIB, the Royal National Institute of Blind People, to find out about the role it played in creating this new product.
Hi, I'm Robin Spinks. I am Head of Inclusive Design at RNIB.
Robin, great to have you with us on Double Tap.
Great to be here, Stephen.
So tell us about the relationship and how it got started with Mira.
So RNIB have been working with Mira for a little while now, and we essentially were brought in to do a bit of a co-design with Mira, so to work on a product that they were creating. And really they had the ambition to build an inclusive experience, a really nice example of an accessible shower. And we were brought in really to look at what are all the touch points, what are all the experiences, if you like, that somebody who's blind or partially sighted would want to have when using the product, and what could just make it a really good example of an inclusive product. So rather than making something special for a particular market, how about basically making the product as inclusive as it can be?
And one of the great things about a company like Mira coming to RNIB is that you are able to give them access to lots of blind and partially sighted people who can offer their advice and give their feedback, right?
That's right. I mean, it's a fusion of great design, insight from the community in terms of lived experience, and then also expert evaluation by our team who are, chartered ergonomists, people who really know in detail about the ins and outs of how to assess a product, how it's used by human beings, what the interaction is. So I think if you bring those three components together, the great design work that Mira were doing in-house, the lived experience of blind and partially sighted people, and the expert usability knowledge and deep understanding, together those three things create, I think, quite a powerful combination in terms of bringing about a product that is a great example of inclusion and something that people will just enjoy using.
And this is something that you at RNIB do all the time, right? You're always reaching out to companies. Companies are also coming to you and seeking out your advice. I mean, we heard from Suzannah talking about the value of the RNIB accreditation scheme. So you must get a lot of companies who are sort of banging down the door saying, hey, help us with our latest product.
We do, but we want more. We've been helping companies to resolve challenges for a long, long time. RNIB's been helping people, as you know, to resolve challenges for over 150 years. I can only claim to have been there for 10% of that time, so tiny in comparison. But, during the time that I've been there, we've worked directly with ATM manufacturers, the Bank of England on banknotes, smart TV manufacturers, web and app developers, Lego, you name it, and now Mira Showers. And I think, for us, we will work with any organisation that shares our goal to build the perfect country for people with sight loss and to create great examples of products which are inclusive, which are nice to use, which serve their purpose really well, and which create a great experience, because that's what it's all about at the end of the day, is delivering a better, delivering an uplift and a better user experience for everybody, including people who are blind or partially sighted. And think about the audience of people using showers up and down the country throughout the world. Everybody has a shower every day, but they don't have their glasses or their contact lenses in. So many, many people will situationally be low vision while they've not got their contacts in or their glasses on. So, making a product that is really user-friendly, really nice to use and really certain, I think, meets an enormous market need that is the blind and partially sighted population, but also those people who are just situationally low vision because they don't have their prescription on them at the time.
One of the big topics at many conferences around the world, especially around blindness and disability generally, is inclusive design, right? That is your role at RNIB, is what it's all about. Making products accessible to as many people and available to as many people as possible. That includes people who don't have disabilities and those who do.
Yeah.
The challenge, I guess, though, is when you talk to these companies, because one of the first things you must get hit with is, how do I make this not look like a specialist product or something that is not attractive? It's like when we talk about web design, the idea that web design, making it a website inclusive, means it has to not have pictures on it or nice colors and nice fonts. That's just not the case, is it?
Absolutely. I think, the best examples of accessible digital resources look really attractive. They're nice to use, but they'll also work well for people like you and I who are using assistive technology, be that a screen reader or a magnifier or just the inbuilt magnification that's on popular devices now as standard. So it's all about creating an experience that works for everybody, and actually an experience that people want to not only use time and time again, but recommend to their friends and families.
Mira is selling this shower in the UK, RNIB, of course, based in the UK. I know it well. I used to be there. I was there for 15 years, so a very happy 15 years. But, this story is international because it shows how inclusive design can work. And RNIB do a lot of work internationally, right? You don't just work in the UK.
We do, absolutely, right across North America, Korea, Japan, very popular household brands that everybody would recognise we work with. And really it's about distilling the knowledge and the understanding and the deep lived experience that we've got access to, bringing those things together with great design and creating products that people love and people enjoy. And that's what it's all about for us. I think people looking in sometimes imagine that it's challenging. What I would say is that if you take the approach that Mira have taken, where they've had their designers working with our team to sense check things, they've been able to test with end users, and they've really taken the process of inclusive design and product development really seriously and created a nice example of a product that is pleasing to use and inclusive. I think if people take that approach, they'll recognise that it's something that they can integrate into their workflow far more easily than they might imagine.
Robin Spinks from RNIB, thank you so much for coming on to Double Tap.
It's been a pleasure. Thanks, Stephen.
That's Robin Spinks from RNIB and Suzannah Adey from Mira Showers. You can find out more about that product in the links below. In the comments, you can tell me what you think about it. Would this be something you would want in your home? Tell us your thoughts. Just get involved as usual. Feedback at doubletaponair.com. 1-877-803-4567 is our call-in number. Yes, this YouTube channel has a call-in number. We are proper retro over here. Or you can comment below. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We'll catch you next time.